So this is a second reading for today, and it's Tuesday, August 11th, 2025. I was with the U.S. Army for 3 years as a Katusha soldier, right? I am a KT employee and I am a Korean. But when I was very, very young, I had to go to the military service, mandatory conscription, right? And then after taking the English test, I was assigned to the U.S. Army. So we worked alongside with the U.S. Army, right? Basically, I was the U.S. Army soldier with a different rank system and different holiday schedule, right? So I am attracted to what is going on with the U.S. Army all the time. This article is from Business Insider, the UK company, news agency, and in today's title is the U.S. Army Command that OK's hopefuls for service is creeping toward a crisis by Kelsey Baker. Right. August 11th, 2025. Mepcom is facing staffing shortages, risking its ability to process military recruits. Wow, staffing shortages. Recruit officer, right? The federal hiring freeze is exacerbating challenges. One source expects Mepcom's work volume to keep expanding as the command contends with fewer resources. Senior members of the military command that approves hopeful recruits as fit for service say they cannot hire enough civilian workers to operate its medical exam facility at full capacity. Oh, so that's the problem, right? Medical exam facilities are short-staffed. Military Entrance Processing Command, known as Mepcom, is the medical and testing screening authority for the tens of thousands of people who enter the military each year. Four Mepcom officials with direct knowledge of staffing levels told Business Insider that unless it can ramp up civilian hiring soon, some locations could fail to meet goals for processing new military recruits over the next year. This could trigger a breakdown in a crucial part of military recruiting, they said. One senior Mepcom official compared the command's hiring predicament to a hurricane warning. The command can get by with current staffing levels, they said, but the lethargically slow pace of hiring risks a critical shortfall of recruit processing staff within 5 or 6 months. A looming worry. At Mepcom's outposts across the U.S., young people who want to become military recruits, known as applicants, undergo an academic test and a battery of physical exams, a series of physical exams to determine whether they are fit for service. The command processed over 300,000 medical exams alone last year. 20 of the military command's 65 stations have been forced to reduce capacity. The number of total applicants they can process weekly due to staff shortages, said one of the officials with direct knowledge. Staff shortages. Those reductions don't signal immediate emergencies, since not all locations reach maximum capacity every week. But there's certain locations that are at very high risk right now of reaching emergency status within the next year, he said. New Army accessions received the oath of enlistment at the Military Entrance Processing Station, Baltimore. Master Sergeant Arthur M. Wright, U.S. Air National Guard. New Army accessions received the oath of enlistment at the Military Entrance Processing Station, Baltimore. Accessions, that's good. Ascend, right? Jesus Christ ascended to the heaven in 3 days after his death. That's according to the Bible, not according to my science. Two sources with direct knowledge of recruiting efforts in one major U.S. city told Business Insider that staffing levels have forced them to decrease the number of prospective recruits that they process daily by 20%. Each said their location is experiencing normal turnover but not receiving new hires to replace those who leave. President Donald Trump's federal hiring freeze is partly to blame. Mepcom has an exemption to hire essential workers, but the additional approvals needed for those hires have created a bureaucratic quagmire. In some cases, the approval process has delayed hires by as much as 6 months, sources said. The Department of Defense is reorganizing and optimizing its workforce to best support its top priorities and meet its mission now and in the future as a part of its workforce optimization initiatives, a command spokesperson said in an emailed statement to Business Insider that also referenced Mepcom's exemption from the hiring freeze for essential workers. The number of applicants a facility can process fluctuates periodically, the statement said, which was supported by sources who spoke to Business Insider. If the current staffing attrition rate continues, with employees leaving at the same rate as they are now, more locations will be forced to lower the number of applicants they can screen daily, a senior official said. Over the longer term, this could impact the rate of military recruitment. The services have recently started to turn the corner on a years-long recruiting crisis. Turn the corner. The services have recently, The services have recently started to turn the corner on a years-long recruiting crisis. The services have recently started to turn the corner on a years-long recruiting crisis. The services have recently started to turn the corner on a years-long recruiting crisis. Until this year, the Army and Navy, and to a less extent the Air Force, have fallen thousands of recruits short for the past few years. The Pentagon has touted the recent higher recruiting numbers as evidence of a patriotic Trump bump, though evidence suggests it's a mix of factors. Do it with less resources. Sources told Business Insider that major metropolitan Mepcom locations have a notoriously hard time recruiting staff including administrators who oversee applicant histories and processing, IT workers, and medical technicians. High costs of living and low government salaries lead to a high turnover, forcing Mepcom to rely on a steady stream of new hires, they said. These issues have been exacerbated in part by the Trump administration's deferred resignation program, essentially a buyout that has also been offered to civilian workers. Buyout, right? Deferred resignation program. To date, 15,000 civilian workers within the Army have taken the buyout, an Army spokesperson told BI. Though Mepcom supports all services, it is managed by the Army. The wobbly staffing comes at a time when Mepcom's work volume has ballooned, rising annually by tens of thousands. In 2022, they processed 215,000 medical exams alone, another senior official said. 2 years later, it was 312,000. The command has already exceeded that number in the first half of 2025. Of the 65 Mepcom locations, fewer than 20 process over half of all the nation's applicants, a senior official said. Some of those are locations hardest hit by hiring challenges, he added, speaking from direct knowledge. There is a pressure on one side to increase efficiency processing applicants at the MAPS, which requires resources to do that, the official said, referring to local Mepcom facilities known as Military Entrance Processing Stations, or MAPS. Keep the numbers flowing, keep things efficient in terms of when the applicants are being processed, he added, but at the same time, do it with less resources. Efficiency, right? So nothing much about this article except that it's about Mepcom, right? And Mepcom does all the medical exams or entrance exams for all the services. And the services have recently turned the corner on a years-long crisis of recruiting. So they are now increasing the recruitment numbers, right? Like 215,000 to 312,000 new recruits last year. But Trump said all the federal hiring freeze, so they cannot hire new civilians to do the processing of the medical exams of new hopefuls for services. And also the civilians have a deferred resignation program, right? So it's more like an early retirement package, I think. But that's strange. Deferred always means postponed. So resignation is postponed. That means they get retired later than they are supposed to retire. So that's strange. Deferred resignation program. So many civilians leave the Mepcom. And with the current rate of resignation, they expect there would be severe staffing shortages at the Mepcom facilities. They have 65 Mepcom facilities and 25 process more than half of all the medical examinations for hopefuls for the services. So during the grid collapse scenarios, they would face severe staff shortages. Well, that's it. But before I go, I would like to go over what I stored to remember. The services have recently started to turn the corner on a years-long recruiting crisis. Accession, right? Let's look for the word accession. Coupe. I feel sleepy somehow. Arrival, attainment, act of coming into a high office. Succession, accession or accession, right?
Accession.
Accession. I thought accession, but accession. Sorry.
Accession.
Accession.
Accession. Accession.
Accession refers to the general idea of joining or adding to. It may also refer to accession, property law accession, the act of joining a treaty by a party that did not take part in its negotiations. Right? Military soldiers, accession. Thanks for listening. Have a great accession day. Bye-bye.